You cladded him with this piece of incinerator. You incinerated healthy men and women in broad daylight because you wanted to save money. You lost lives in saving money. You lost your humanity. You lost lives in saving money. You lost your sensibility. You lost lives in saving money. And what shall it profit a man if he gains the whole world and suffer the loss of his own soul? Britain has lost the soul that made it a nation.
A generation will never heal. We pass our pain on to the next generation until we get justice. I've worked with the children in Grenfell Tower for nearly 15 years as a supply, and also I've lost a friend. I can't give her name because her family are very, very aggrieved. What we need now is we need to prove we are a community. We're not being shifted out. We're not being moved away. We built these communities. We gave it its colour. We gave it its flavour. And that's why everyone wants to come and live here. But if we go, all that will go. And our people, and there was more than 80 people who died in that fire, what did they die for if we don't get up and rebuild this community? We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. You cancel RBK&C, for deep in our hearts that grieve, we do believe true justice for Grenfell we shall achieve. Justice and peace!
No justice! No justice! I'm a local resident. I live 300 metres from Grenfell, and like lots of the local residents, especially the survivors, a lot of us are in trauma.
Lots of local community groups, Justice for Grenfell, ordinary local residents, people from other boroughs, trade unions, support groups, faith organisations have gathered here tonight outside the meeting that will start in this building at 6:30.
Avoidable disaster has happened to our community. We are humbled by all the support that we've received, but we are going to have to continue to fight so that the survivors and their families get justice. This council has consistently ignored the needs of the local community. It didn't listen, as everybody from the local community knows, it didn't listen to the concerns of the Grenfell residents. It didn't listen to the concerns they raise about fire safety. It ignored them. It was absent after the fire. They have not still met the needs of the survivors to house them. They have still not met the needs of many of the survivors in terms of care, in terms of support. And our community believes that they are not fit for purpose. We believe there is no longer any trust between the community around Grenfell and the residents for them to continue to actually manage this council. So we believe that their time's up. They need to resign.
So I've had a long fight myself with the TMO for years because I live in a TMO property and we've been worried about our safety for a long time, and what's happened at Grenfell has just proved that the TMO are not fit to manage any properties. The way the community has come together has been absolutely amazing. We've always had a good community, but this has just sealed us together even more.
My niece was local.
All right. Every member of the council should resign. They're not fit for their job.
Kensington and Chelsea Council!
Out, out, out!
Kensington and Chelsea Council!
Out, out, out!
Kensington and Chelsea Council!
Out, out, out!
No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
Justice for Grenfell!
Justice for Grenfell!
One of the reasons that we are here tonight is to actually call on the cabinet members who have made those decisions to cut costs and to put the lives of the residents of Grenfell at risk because they wanted to save money, allegedly 300,000. We want those people, the cabinet especially, to be held account and to be prosecuted. And that's why we want them prosecuted now.
What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now!
I have been meeting survivors, speaking to those dealing with the aftermath of the fire, and staying in touch with those still in the shadow of the tower. Could you please stop heckling?
Carry on!
I'm a youth worker in the area. These don't think that they can step back, preside over a vacuum, and slowly let their neoliberal crisis management lead them back to normality. But there is no normal after what they've done. There's a whole community that have organised that don't want them back. And on the terms that they want them back, basically, right now there's going to be a number of speeches being given. One of them is going to be given by Save North Kensington Library. Eve Wedderburn is going to say there should be a moratorium on all building within the North Kensington area and a stopping of all the development projects. Right? That is what we should be supporting fundamentally here. Right? Pierce Thompson from Save Silchester is going to be giving another speech which will place Grenfell Tower within the regeneration and redevelopment projects that went over a 40-year period that Grenfell stands in. And if people are actually going to do their work, and I know the media are here, we need to start looking at the broader picture here, right? Yes, you've got RBKC Council, yes, you've got the KCTMO, but you've got big developers. You've got the Westway Trust, you've got the third sector vultures that thought that serving big developers was the way that they served the community, who started to define the community in this nebulous future way, that talked about footfall, that talked about money being spent, but didn't talk about the existing communities of North Kensington, because they saw the real estate and they didn't see the people. These spreadsheets didn't account for the realities of life. And all of their calculations and all of their things led to the Grenfell Tower. There are people here that I know who lobbied from day one to make the undocumented people count, who wanted to create safe spaces, that wanted signage in the languages that were necessary, that wanted non-statutory services that didn't have the racist nativism of Theresa May's Britain accounting for them. But now what have we got? We've got a 1-year freeze, amnesty, then they're going to place them in temporary housing, know exactly where they are, and then they're going to deport them or put them to Yarswood and Harmansworth, right? That is racist Britain. This is the very hostile environment. Theresa May said she wanted a very hostile environment. Grenfell Tower was it. And if you look at the people who were in that tower, who was it? It was predominantly Muslim, predominantly North African, predominantly the people who this state loved to villainize. Look, the cranes are still going up, right? If you're a resident of North Kensington, if you're a resident of Latimer Road, if you look on the other side of the Westway, what do you see? You see consistent cranes, you see the extension of Westfield. And if you've got the Westway Trust and you listen to Angela McConville, what you hear of and what you want, what you see is an encroachment of Westfield all the way to Portobello, which they call Destination Westway. And it's within that redevelopment strategy that Grenfell Tower sits. It's within that redevelopment strategy linking Hammersmith and Fulham to RBKC that we can understand and put together exactly all of the projects in place. And what needs to happen, flat out, and what's being said right now in that meeting, is that they need to stop those redevelopment policies. It's a very basic thing. And what we need to do is talk about the ways in which local people can be empowered and make sure that never again a Grenfell happens. And the way you do that is to make sure that redevelopment is for the local community.
One of the key demands is that the survivors and their families are housed in the borough.
We fully support what they are doing and want to support the community in their demands. We are obviously as teachers concerned about the impact of this on children, and that's another reason why people should be housed in this borough. Children should be allowed to continue in their schools. They're a safe sanctuary for children. They're where they can get support and counselling following on from this. We must not allow this to be forgotten. We must not allow this community to be forgotten. We have to stand together and we have to continue to fight for justice for Grenfell.
The so-called accident, and I don't believe it was an accident. I believe what John MacDonald said, this was social murder. Because what happened with the austerity cuts that have been going on under various administrations, as working class people have been absolutely marginalised. They don't want working class people living in this extremely rich borough. They want to push them out. Indeed, they want to push them out of London. And what this has done, it's highlighted the problem, not only here, but also right across London, in Camden, where I live, in Newham, where we have these atrocious tower blocks with a substandard material that was only going to end one way, and that was in the victims dying because people took a political decision not to fund decent housing for working class people. But we also have to put the blame fair and square on the government, because that government cut back on the fire services. We had fire workers, heroically, fire brigade, working 12 hours in that intense heat, in that appalling conditions, trying to save people when they should have only been working 4. So they worked 3 times as long as they should do, and still they didn't have an adequate ladders to access the top floors to rescue people that could have been rescued. So it's quite clear there is politics involved here. It's an anti-working class politics, and I hope this Justice for Grenfell campaign highlights everybody that's done wrong and they're brought to justice. Justice for Grenfell!
What happens in terms of a justice campaign must be led by those who are directly impacted. But at this moment in time, most people aren't in a position to seek justice. They need a secure roof over their heads. They need to know that their children can get back on track and have a normal routine, not be living in a hotel for months on end. They need their lives back. There's all this money that's been collected. Most of the response has been by the community. Why hasn't that money been evenly distributed between people? People deserve dignity and respect, not to be having to chase handouts, to chase clothes, to chase food. Those things should be coming to them, but they should have the money in their hand so they have the dignity to spend that money as they see fit and as is necessary. It's unacceptable, and so whilst we must be led by the people that are directly impacted, in the meantime we all have a responsibility, whether we're the local community, the London community. What we know as well is that local residents living in Grenfell Tower had for many years been raising concerns with the local authority about the things that led to the fire, and not only were they disregarded and ignored, there was an attempt by the local authority to shut them down and shut their voices down, which is an absolute disgrace, and some of those people lost their lives in the tower. What they're really concerned about is to have their lives back on track. Most people haven't even been able to grieve for the people they've lost, whether that's been family members, whether it's been neighbours and friends, because their life is upside down. Some people will say that this issue is not political, but I say it's very political. Everything about what happened in the lead up to the fire itself, and what's happened since is political. The cuts that have been made to the most deprived and poorest communities, working class communities, diverse communities, will have a detrimental impact on lives and on futures, and we've seen that come to fruition. We should never have to have seen what happened to people in Grenfell Tower. The fact that cuts to services have been made, cuts to local authorities have been made, the cuts that have been made to the fire service and other essential services.
We ain't gonna ever back down. I was out on that strip, nighttime graveyard shift, and I see Grenfell burning when I know what's going down. Cause I see people screaming loud, and I see them throwing babies out when I know what's really going down. Cause I see Grenfell burning down.
Not you living in Manchester homes, next to the Jack City Latimer Road, all the kids that got trapped in their family homes. We shouldn't have to see that side of growth. Turning them into flammable homes, huh? They trying to pay it with glitter, the poor getting poor and the rich getting richer. LA, we still in the pictures, no ugly like this on the earth of the skins.
Grenfell Tower is burning, you don't let that borough down.
Grenfell is a microcosm of what's been going on right across London and what's been going on right across this country, where the rich have been getting richer on our backs, and worse than that, they've actually allowed a situation to develop up and down the country where instead of actually having high quality public housing in this country, they tart it up so that it looks nice for the posh residents that can see the tower block from their nice 2 million houses, 2 million quid houses. Up and down the country they've been selling off council housing, they've been selling off social housing, they've been making it impossible for working class people to live in the centre of London. So you have firefighters at my local station in Tottenham that have to live on the outskirts of a city because it's the only place they can afford to live. Justice for Grenfell! Justice for Grenfell! Justice for Grenfell! Justice for Grenfell!
The acts of solidarity, the £20 million raised by ordinary people up and down the country shows actually what solidarity means in this country. And we're here at Stand Up to Racism to send a clear message. We want an amnesty, an all-out amnesty for any refugees or asylum seekers living in Grenfell. It's an absolute disgrace when Theresa May talks about 1 year when people have suffered and people have lost their life. We need a campaign that continues to fight for justice. What you've seen here today is the start of something that can hold the council to account. We want them all gone, and we want people that represent the community. An inquiry will not be an inquiry till it delivers the heads of people on that council, the hypocrites who are still failing local residents. Keep up the pressure. Justice for Grenfell.
If a society cannot look after its own children, what type of society is that? If there were dogs, listen to this, if there were dogs in that building, 1 month later, the RSPCA would have arrested the people that looked after those dogs. But in Kensington, humanity has been degraded below animals. If we had a representative council, we will know the number of people that perished in that place. It's not just a shame on those that felt they were councillors, because I can't understand how you can be representing people and see death coming their way and do nothing. Where is the proof of intelligent life that value life in Britain? Where is the proof of intelligent life in Theresa May? Where is the proof of intelligent life in our so-called leaders? Where is the proof of intelligent life in the big office holders?
The reasons and the arguments that are coming from the community, these are the voices that are reflected in the community. So what we're demanding is something that the Justice for Grenfell campaign is demanding in terms of prosecutions, in terms of accountability. And we need to make our voices heard, especially in terms of actually the council's lack of care and meeting the needs of the survivors and the evacuees and the community in general around Grenfell. If we gather, we gather together and people remember the reason that we gather in here is about justice for Grenfell, for those people who have died in a violent fire that has been inflicted upon them by a council who actually cared more about cutting costs than actually listening to the concerns of the residents.
Poor lives matter. Poor